Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at importing data again from our second USB stick this time. We're just going to remind ourselves about the filtering options and the importing data options when we're bringing the data in. So we are now looking at importing our second USB stick into the software. And if we just have a quick look down our management tree, everything seems okay. Everything is in lowercase, so there's nothing extra being added, and nothing has come into that top farm at the moment. So what we do is click read job data and make sure that our monitor is selected correctly, and it will remain on the default one that you used previously, so we will be in the right place. We've already copied our data from the USB drive onto our desktop, and so we now select the second USB stick information down and then click OK. What we have here, we can see we've got the name of our task and we've got imported no, and there's a lot more tasks to come in here. Then we notice that we've got imported no and imported yes, and we can see that this task has already been imported. The reason that it shows is that the actual data stays on the monitor regardless of whether we send a clean USB stick back to the combine after importing our first lot of yield data. And so that data will stay on all the time, but it doesn't have any GPS data associated with it because that is recorded directly to the USB stick. So that's why we're able to see historical tasks on here. But what you will also notice is that there's a color difference between the imported no and the imported yes. The software hasn't selected the import yeses, and so it doesn't actually process that data. So it's ignoring that as part of the process. So if I want to import just one task, I use my mouse and select the one task, and we see that it's highlighted blue, and the rest of them have now lost that grey background. And so we have imported no. If we wanted to, we could import one task at a time. I don't see any point in doing that. If we wanted to import just one window's worth, which is quite a good way of going about it, and is what I use quite a lot, I will hold my shift key down, and with the left mouse key I will select a window's worth of data. This will speed up the import process and just make it that little bit easier. If you are going to leave it overnight and or for a period of time during the day, then you would just import all of the tasks to let the computer get on with it while you're doing other things. In this instance, just for sheer speed, I am going to choose 5 tasks. I am going to check to make sure that my filter is right and update that if it has changed. And so now I've got a minimum of 50 kilograms, maximum of 15 ton. Click OK, and I want to skip confirming supplies, equipment or people if they are there. So I will click OK again, and the synchronization process will take place. As I've got less tasks, it won't take so long. Sometimes during this process, when we are on read job data, you will see a line come up that says not responding. This has a lot to do with the amount of data that this computer has to process, and it thinks it's not responding, but actually behind the scenes it is. So don't panic if that appears. Just let the computer do what it's doing. It's certainly not advisable, however, to do other jobs on the computer while the data is being processed. It is a very memory hungry process, and it is liable for hanging and crashing and working slowly if you're doing other things. So if it's importing the data into the software, just let it do that and that alone. So whilst this is synchronizing, I'll hit the pause key and then come back to you once the data has been imported. So the linker window has appeared as it did previously, and we've got our harvesting grain and harvesting resources linked, which is good. Our winter wheat is a new resource and a new commodity, so it will bring that in for us. It's linked our equipment, which is good. Just to check on that one, it's putting our commodity properties in, and that is correct. not checking anything else, and now importing the information into the software. So that is what we would do for all our operations. It does differ slightly, but not a great deal, between whether we're doing it for our second USB stick or our first. The most important thing is actually just getting the data into the software. That is the more important part of the process, and making sure that that is backed up. And there's another video on how to back up data, either especially after a particular exercise or at the end of a session. And so here, those 5 tasks came in all perfectly fine, and we've got all our boxes there showing GPS data. The next video will start to look at how we are going to analyse and look at the data that we've got coming into the software. And that's the end of this video here.